Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order and open the roll call.
Goodell?
Here.
Slater?
Here.
Rusher?
Here.
Hader?
Here. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st, 2013 regular council meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We need a motion to approve the treasurer's monthly investment report.
Let's skip claims, or the
Move to approve.
Oh.
minutes.
Okay,
We forgot the minute.
okay, hold back up. All in favor of the monthly investment report?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Who did the minutes?
Did the agenda.
Agenda.
Okay.
Second. It's on tape.
We're just on free will. A through D approved. All in favor?
Aye.
And we need a motion to approve the October claims.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Under communications, anything in the public in attendance this evening? If not, we'll move on to new business. First item, we'll discuss the downtown plaza concrete work.
The plaza concrete issues have been dressed up by the contractor, and it has improved somewhat from where it was at. The level of workmanship is still well below expectations. We do have some concerns about removing sections and possible coloration issues and patches. I guess kind of wanted to bring this in front of the council, being as we've got a decision to make on this, which way to go. I know Walter and myself have met with the contractor out there. You had brought some comments to me, so I guess as a council to consider the work and whether, what route we want to take with the level of workmanship that's there.
What's left to pay the contractor? You know?
Do you know, Kurt?
I do not know.
35.
I know we haven't paid any of the concrete work. That's all been withheld. Plus retainage is left. I don't think we paid seating yet. So seating, concrete, and retainage are all withheld.
Concrete, just labor, concrete material too?
Everything.
Somewhere between 35 to 40 total, isn't it? We paid about half, I think. That sounds about right.
So, I mean, there is a significant chunk. It's not, I would say it's not a small amount that we're holding out on them. So I think that, you know, if we, there's two things, you know, if we go down the route, I think we're going to end up in a legal battle with them. I think they'd be more than happy to rip out a patch and replace it, but then you run into the coloration issues. So I don't think there's any real good solution to this. I think, you know, you've got an aspect where you could have them rip out all the front area and replace it. And that, I think you'd probably have to take them to court to get them to do that. You could have them do a patch, which, like I said, could have coloration issues because now the two batches of concrete are going to be 100% the same. And then, you know, there's the aspect of, you know, leaving well enough alone and accepting it as it is. It's not great, but it could get worse from here, I think. So, with that in mind, you know, like I said, it's up to the council on what route to take from here.
I would agree. Aaron and I met with the contractor. Nothing good beyond paying him will come out of us. Just be prepared for a battle, no matter what we do. So, and if we're happy with what he did, and it's by far better now than when Aaron and I were there originally. They ground it, you know, and smoothed it out, because it was, the bad part is that, you know, ladies would have had high heels or shoes or whatever, they would have definitely caught on it. Literally, you could almost tripped on a lot of that the way it was put in, but it is it is much better now anyway. Aaron said it's not perfect. You know, according to the contractor, it never could have been perfect by his standards anyway, how he said it, but
I mean,
Why is that?
he claims, you know, and, you know, I know nothing about where these conversations went, but he claimed, according to the specs, it could never be good. And I don't know why, but he just said the way he stamped it with the small stamps and stuff and everything, which, and that basically what he alluded to, that at best it was gonna be bad.
well,
He didn't say that at the time, though.
yeah.
No, not till, no, he never said that, that's another thing, yeah.
There
but
was-
He claimed that Aaron misinterpreted all the meetings that he was at and didn't make and everything and stuff, so there was some confusion, I guess.
So we obviously were pushing, this was prior to the 150th. We were pushing very hard to try and get the plaza dressed up before the 150th. That didn't happen. The concrete was laid after that 150th celebration. He made the argument that we pushed him to pour in hot weather, and that's why it was setting up too fast, and he couldn't get even stamping, and the stamp was too small, and therefore it was leading to irregularities in the stamping. So with those factors in mind, he said, well, there was no way it was ever going to turn out well. There's two problems there. Working with INS, we've never had a situation where they haven't communicated contractor comments to us. And secondly, we've never pushed, while we were pushing before the 4th of July, after the 4th of July, there was really no motivation to push that hard. And I think everybody kind of said, well, we missed our date, unfortunately, due to, you know, whatever reason. At this point, just, you know, get it completed and get it completed right. So, but there is a lot of, as Walter alluded to, there's a lot of disagreement on how those conversations actually went, because, you know, he maintains that that's not what occurred. So, knowing what it takes to go through with some of the legal problems that we're dealing with Roof Guard on the water plant, with closing out that contract, you know, or, you know, the Humboldt Business Park and some of the frustrations on the retention pond there. Yeah, unfortunately, you're put in a situation where you have to ask yourself whether it's, you know, how far down this road do you want to go? I definitely think there's a leg to stand on. I think that the work doesn't meet spec. But I also think we could deal with a situation where we'll be, you know, another year and a half down the road, still be fighting this fight, and might not end up in really a great situation after all the time spent. So, you know, that's kind of where we're left here. So, the landscaper who's the general on the project was not the individual who actually did the concrete work. It was a subcontractor for him that did the concrete work. So it's a little bit of telephone game in that respect. But I guess that's kind of what we're left with. Kurt, did you have any?
Well, besides the legal battle, I think if even if he did come in and we had him tear up the front half of it or whatever, we'd have a worse situation than we got now, to be very honest with you, because he's gonna be PO'd. He isn't gonna give a crap what it looks like. I'm gonna be in the same situation again if he doesn't do a good job the second time.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like this is the best job he can do, as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, I just think we probably had a bad, not a general, but a bad sublet contractor doing the concrete work. I walked it today. It's better than it was. It is better than it was. 3 weeks ago when I came in and talked to you about it or whatever, you know. I guess my concern is, do we have any money that we can hold back because of the poor job, or are we even barking up the wrong tree there?
I guess excuse me, I'm not real familiar with the spec, but I guess the question is it possible to pay them like 90% or 95% of it? I don't know if Justin's brought that up or not.
The contractor alluded several times that our whole goal was not to pay the bill. And he made that clear, that we don't pay our bills. You know, that's, and Aaron said that'd be a first that the city has not fulfilled this obligation, you know, to a contractor that's done the job, who didn't pay our bill. But that's,
Right.
he alluded to that several times, that.
This is the contractor that said this, or the sub?
The
Contractor.
And then, and he alluded several times, the only reason we're having that meeting, he knew that we were gonna try and scrape some money out of him anyway.
Are you talking about the general now, or
The
the?
general,
Yeah.
the general,
Really?
yeah, I've never talked to the sub.
Ah,
I only talked to the general. But that was his remarks anyway, that, you know, we were just there to try and get money out of it. No other reason. So I can guarantee, you know, I shouldn't say guarantee you, but I would more than likely assume if we don't pay him everything, that we will get drug into something. So, if we don't pay him, you know, then we've got to decide what is it we don't like, and either force the issue on what we want fixed, and if they don't want to fix it, hold that much money back then. I think that's what I'd like, we're gonna have to stand on.
What about future work? Can we just not use this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They can be, I mean, we'll definitely,
Excluded.
I don't know what the politically correct term for it, excluded list, I don't know.
Blackball.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the right
Yeah,
word.
there is a terminology for it.
Would not be informed of future work.
Yeah, they will definitely.
Encouraged to not look at it.
As along with roof guard and, I believe, PCI will also no longer be welcome to complete work within the city. There's, you know, unfortunately, we've had a rough road with, you know, a roofer, you know, some excavation work and now with, some concrete work, so. Just, unfortunately, when you're in this city role, I think sometimes you end up with people, you know, PCI was a bit of a surprise, but I think sometimes you end up with people who get bids that, you know, you'd rather have somebody else have the bid because you have more confidence in them, but you're limited on what you can do sometimes, so.
It happens in everything. I mean, you just, you know, sometimes you just eat it and you just move on and say, well, I'm just not gonna buy anything from that supplier anymore if that's how they're, you know, they're gonna send hundreds of yards of bad material and then, oops, you know, that's yours now, it's in your warehouse. You just don't buy from them again. I mean, you know, I know it'd be great to like find a truck and ship it back to them, but
Yeah, I guess my feeling is no matter what we do, it doesn't come out well, but I would hate to waste a lot of engineering and labor hours chasing a small amount of money and dragging this out so that, you know, we can't necessarily close out the project and move on with keeping the plaza in good shape, so.
Grass wise, there it
is
looks better now than it did, but it's not great, but it's,
The grass is not acceptable, and,
That is gonna be on the punch list. There are some punch list
Okay.
items that need to be done. I think that 1899 is kind of sunk a little bit.
Yeah.
That needs to be readjusted, and there's some other things out that too.
okay.
So there is a punch list that needs to be
Okay.
corrected.
no, concrete's kind of a tough one. So,
Are we comfortable moving on, or do we want to do something different, or?
I think we should move on and put him on a blackball list.
I agree.
Would be my, recommendation anyway.
I agree with that.
Okay.
We're just chasing our tail if we do anything different.
Okay.
Are you spending more money?
No. All right, guess we know where we're going then.
okay. Thank you.
Next, we need to discuss the potential development of the downtown plaza now.
So,
Some exciting news, bad news, and
Yeah.
exciting news at the same time.
So, I guess along the lines of grass, Kevin Scow has proposed of building an apartment complex on the green space on Sumner Avenue behind the downtown plaza. The complex would have 4 2-bedroom units and 4 garages to the avenue, or to the, alley. Before he.
That threw me when you said avenue. I'm trying to figure out how he's gonna do that.
When I was reading that, I said that, I'm like, to the avenue, huh?
Yeah.
Facing First
We get a little up down there if we have everything.
Exactly. The avenue there. Anyway, to the alley behind the plaza there. Before he invested any money into getting plans drafted, he would like the council to give it a preliminary consideration. The building would be approximately $300,000 to construct and would be dressed up on the side facing Sumner. If the council wants to consider the proposal formally, a public hearing would need to be scheduled at the next council meeting. I don't know if everybody get a chance to review. Again, it's kind of a napkin sketch, but it gives you an idea of what he's talking about for that building. So,
Do we have to get,
I don't know if I like the apartments on Main Street.
You know, I'm kind of with you. I think we have umpteen lots in Humboldt, Iowa that
To build apartment complexes
have an
on.
apartment complex on, and, you know, Daryl knows better than I do. He's been retailer on Main Street, but I would, you know.
I'd much rather see somebody come in and put a business there, if at all possible.
the other thing he was exploring was potentially 2 office spaces in front with apartments behind. Would the council be receptive to that or not?
I just don't see how that, I mean, I'm kind of confused on, you're not calling the whole lot the downtown plaza?
No, just the.
Where does
green
the
space.
downtown plaza start, where the sidewalk goes to the left and to the right as you're
Yep.
walking north?
So where it views out into the back, the front portion would still be able to be kept as it is, maintained as city property. The back portion could then be developed for some other purpose. For instance, the apartments or held as green space, whichever the council chooses. So, that was the 2 things he had, was potentially using that as 2 offices, 2 apartments, and garages in the back, or 4 apartments, garages in the back, or, you know, not develop it at all in that, with the plan that he has. So,
I'm having a hard time imagining apartments there. I mean, the 2 offices, what kind, I mean, what is it gonna look like? I mean, is it gonna be,
his thought was the same mock-up, essentially 4 even sections. So, I don't know if he has, the front would be, they're even, so it'd be 864 square feet, like very, very, very small office in the front, small retail or whatever, and then the 2 smaller apartments behind it. So.
Well, I will say one thing, that anything Kevin puts his hands on always looks better after.